Welcome to the workshop. This is the new workshop. We've got some fantastic stuff. I'm going to do a shop tour on that later on in another video. For now, I've started to take up blacksmithing. So today's project is going to be an anvil stand. I've got my anvil on a cast iron one that was made with it. It's a Brooks anvil. Comes with a cast iron stand, but the problem is with that is the working height means I'm very kind of bent over while I'm working, and it's not very good. I can't hold work between my legs to actually kind of connect things together, you know, hold things while I'm chiseling it or whatever. So I need it at a slightly higher height, and I figured I would make it out of timber. Now I've already made a start, cut out some 4x2s and some 3x2. This is the top, and I've glued it all together already. I've got the two end panels and these big large panels here. So I need to cut out a plywood base, attach these on with glue. I'm going to use a nail gun for that as well, and then attach them to each other. Now I don't know that you can see this on the camera on some of these. That's probably not a very good example. Here we go. So on here you can see that I haven't exactly done my cutting particularly well. I was using the chop saw, and yeah, it's not spot on. So what I'm going to do, when I glued them up, I made sure that the bottom levels were flush, so they'll go onto the plywood, and then I'll glue them and nail them together from the inside. Then I can sand the top with a handheld belt sander, and then put the top on, which is this piece here that I was showing you a minute ago. Once all that's together, I mean, before I put the top on, we're going to fill it up with sand, and I'll explain why a bit later on. But let's just get into putting these panels together and getting it ready. Box all done. So we've got the nails on the inside holding it actually together. What I'd like to do later on, and we'll have to see how it goes, is I've got some of this steel stripping. I'd like to wrap a couple of pieces like there and there somewhere, to make it look a bit more authentic. I might even have a go at making some nails, so that it looks a bit more rustic. Yeah, so what we can do now though, even though it's just, you know, the glue still setting, is we can put it on the floor, put the top on, like so, and yeah, it's not properly level. We've got to still sand the top of this, which I'm not going to do until the glue's set. But we can test it for height and see what it's like. So let's do that. Okay, so it's all made up. I've got the anvil on there. The previous stand was this one here. This is the cast iron stand that it was on. So it's all glued up. I've left it for like an hour and a half, 2 hours nearly. So that glue should be fine now. It's not going to be fully cured, but that's fine. The next stage will be to fill it with this, which is kiln dried sand. You can use standard builder's sand, but it's got a lot of moisture in it. With the kiln dried stuff, it's very fine, and which means I'm not going to have to compact it as much. The reason that I wanted to move it up, as I said before, was because of the working height. So the working height, if I stand up, gives me this kind of working height. Okay, so that's quite good. My hammer is going to be there when I'm using it. which has got a good height. With the steel, if I grab a piece of steel, sticking out the forge here, so I will be able to have my steel here and then maybe use like a punch or something at the same time while holding it between my legs, which is good. It's a good working height to do that. So yeah, I'm very pleased with how that's turned out. So the next thing is to take the anvil off, remove the top, which isn't nailed in or anything yet, and fill up the box with sand. No, that is not what I want to do. What I want to do, I'm going to put one of these bags in as is into this to weigh it down, and I'm going to want to level off the sides a little bit to make sure they're all level with a handheld belt sander. So I'll be getting on with that. So a stupid mistake that I made. I thought I could just get away with knocking off the high points. It turns out that the hand sander is quite aggressive. So I've got high and low points all over the place. So what I've done is I've gone round and drawn a line to try and get it a bit more level. And then I'm going to kind of sand to that line, basically, is the plan. So let's see how that goes. Right, to say that that was a ball ache would be an understatement. So what I've had to do in the end, I had to give up on the sander, because every time I cut into the wood I was creating another dip. So what I actually did in the end was measure up from the bottom to work out where the lowest point was, and then set my table saw up and basically run the whole box through the table saw. Now this is a completely level surface. Now something that I have noticed is that my lid is not so level, which is not a problem because wood does bend, so I'm not overly fussed about that. What I might do, just to keep the sand in, but I'm not overly 100% on this yet, I might put a rubber gasket around or something, I don't know. So it looks like, just checking this here, I'm probably going to have to trim maybe a tiny piece off of these, but that's no big deal. Okay, so it's time to fill this this box up with sand. Now the reason that we're filling it with sand, you might be thinking, well, why not just put the top on and be done with it? One, it's not heavy enough. Now you could build this whole thing out of wood, but I still don't think that'll be heavy enough, and it's not going to absorb a lot of the vibrations as much as I would like it to. By filling it with sand at a later stage, I can take the top off, take the sand out to move it or whatever. So it just gives me that option. And the next question is, well, why did I make it out of wood? One of the main reasons I made it out of wood rather than out of steel, and you can make steel anvil stands, and I did look into them, but one of the main reasons is it's easier for me to attach things to this. So at some point I want to add on a tool rack for hammers and punches and that kind of thing. It's kind of cool with a flat top as well, because I can put tools down on the top, which I couldn't on the base that I had before. So that's why I'm filling it with sand. Now what I've done is I've put this on a piece of flat stock, which is just out of shot, but it gives me this ability to rock it, and I'm hoping that that's going to allow me enough just to kind of settle the grains. I said that we didn't have to tamp this because it's kiln dried sand, but it's going to need a little bit of shaking into being level. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. got the anvil centered on the new Anvil Stand. Now the issue we could potentially have, which yeah, it's 6 of one, half a dozen other, is it could move. Now, not necessarily a problem, it was freestanding in the cast iron stand, but we will end up with a lot more sound from it if it's freestanding. So in order to stop it moving around as much, I've got some 8mm thick flat stock, 20mm, and I've drilled and countersunk so that I can put these long screws in, and I'm going to mount my plate around here somewhere so the screws go in that way, so that hopefully the screws will pin the anvil as well as pulling the anvil tight. So that's the plan. So let's get on with that. So this is the completed anvil stand. I finished it off with the blowtorch. I think it gives it a nice finish, and then I rubbed it over with a bit of boiled linseed oil on a rag, and that's really made that grain pop out. Just blowtorching it didn't show up a lot of the kind of knots and things which the linseed oil does bring out. So it's been a fun project, and I'm going to look forward to doing some blacksmithing videos and some bladesmithing videos, maybe do a few swords and knives and stuff, axe, that kind of thing, because that kind of stuff is frankly quite cool. So if you subscribe, it helps me as a creator, and also you'll be able to catch up on those videos of me blacksmithing and making knives and axes and stuff like that. So it's going to get really cool on this channel, so don't forget to subscribe. Catch you in the next video.